Hello, this is Makeda of the Boston Bidoofs, and today I'm going to be going over my Week 2 match versus the Indiana Tracers. Um, I will say that this is pre-recorded because for some reason my audio wasn't picked up, so uh, unfortunately the battle has already happened, so this is just saying my original thoughts. So you see I brought a Rocky Helmet Ferrothorn because he has a lot of physical attackers that don't want to take that recoil. Um, of course, Iron Barbs, and I have Power Whip, Body Press, Leech Seed, and Spikes. So I had the Spikes there, even though he has a Cinderace, because a lot of my team isn't grounded, and I want him to have to deal with that residual damage, or even bait out the court change while I get a free trade or free switch into something. I'm not too worried about them. I also have Power Whip because I like to hit Quagsire really hard, and even the Coco on a switch. Body Press is great for the Kartana and even the Cinderace. And the Leech Seed is great there because it hits everything except Kartana, which I don't expect to really switch into this. And it's great passive recovery since I didn't bring leftovers this week. His team is really powerful. He has the Cinderace, Kartana, Tapu Koko, all really powerful offensive threats for my team that I don't have really a great way of dealing with, except for Crocodile. Crocodile, as long as his things aren't scarfed, Crocodile does some work once Weezing is gone. But if Weezing is still alive, I really have to play around it. But next up is my Moltres. I brought Mystical Fire, Scorching Sands, because Scorching Sands is great to burn anything on his team, including the Cinderace, because Libero is allowed. Mystical Fire is like a 3-hit KO on Weezing, lowering the damage it can do to me. And Defog is great in case he does set up hazards or court change mine. And of course, Roost for the passive recovery. The Flame Body is going to be really nice because it could still burn the Cinderace and the Kartana, which doesn't want to, does not want to be burned. Makes it basically useless. Unfortunately, it's not a better option for Weezing. If Weezing has Pain Split, Moltres basically is hurting itself for most of the time. But getting the chip damage off is great because it doesn't have any reliable recovery. Really not much else to say about Moltres. It is very powerful, and it's probably my biggest asset in this battle, as long as it's not facing that Tapu Koko, which it can still deal damage to. If it switches into a Mystical Fire, it can live a Thunderbolt. But next up is my main man, Crocodile. He is Choice Scarf Adamant, with Earthquake, Knockoff, and Foul Play. And my tech move this week was Incinerate, because I wanted the Kartana to think that it was safe against me, because its defense is really high. It doesn't die to a Fire Fang, but an Incinerate kills it in one hit without any special defense investment, even at Adamant without investment. So, yeah, Earthquake, Knockoff, great stab. Foul Play there is just to hit like the Kartana or the Weezing on the not the Weezing, the Kartana or the Cinderace really hard on the switch. I don't know why I wouldn't just click Earthquake if I'm expecting Cinderace, but you know, it's just good to have there as an extra backup, even for the Druddigon. And the knockoff's always great. I also brought Intimidate because that helps me live a high jump kick and a Leaf Blade as long as it doesn't crit me. But yeah, Crocodile is going to be essential in this match. It is going to be my last week using him, or actually next week will be my last week using him because I have made some trades to update that. Next up is my Rotom. I have a triple status set with Substitute because it's so bulky that it's one of the only things that can take the hits really well. If I sub expecting Kartana to come in, I just Will-O-Wisp. If I sub and he brings in something else, I get Toxic or I could Discharge. Only thing that really walls me is that Quagsire. But even the Quagsire doesn't want to be Toxic, and it can't really break the sub too well with Scald or whatever its offensive thing is because I am a Levitate user. So I'm not too worried about it. But this is my tech this week. I have Altaria. I believe it is Aguav Berry with Flamethrower, Roost, Heal Bell, Defog. Flamethrower is there for the Kartana. It takes any hit. Roost is obviously great for recovery. Heal Bell is to prevent my Porygon2 or something from being toxic because it does not want to be dealing with that residual damage. And Defog, of course, is a secondary way to remove those hazards that are going to be threatening to me should he not bring court change and just set up his own. So I also have Tri-Attack, Psychic, Recover, Protect on the Porygon2. Psychic is a great tech for the Weezing. It's also great if he brings Girder. Nice 2-hit KO there, even if I lose my Eviolite. Tri-Attack is fantastic. I love it as a stab status spreader. And Protect is there to scout out the high jump kick from the Cinderace. It is modest this week. I am offensive this week because I need that extra damage on those things that it threatens, like Wheezing and Girder. Otherwise, it wouldn't be 2-hit KOs or 1-hit KOs. And it's bulky enough naturally to not have to worry too much about those offensive threats. So that's my team. Hopefully it can work out for me. Like I said, the battle already happened, but we'll get into that in just a second. So thank you for watching, and let's get right into the battle. Alright, we're going to hop right into the battle, and as I said before, this is a re-recording of the battle. Unfortunately, it didn't pick up the audio during the battle, so I'm going to try to do as best as I can to do the play-by-play. And right off the bat, you notice that he didn't bring his Kartana, which honestly put a lot of stress off of my shoulders, and I decided to lead with the Crocodile, because I did expect to kill everything except the Wheezing, and I didn't know what was going to start, and I wasn't too worried about whatever led, because I could just knock it off. The only thing that really threatens it is the Girder, and even then I have plenty of switch-ins for that, so that's what I decided to go with. Another problem that I see here is that he brought the Sigilith. I was not expecting that, and I didn't really practice much against it, but when I did practice against it, I did decently well, so I wasn't too worried, because I have Crocodile. I thought Crocodile would be able to take it out. So let's see what he leads with in just a second here. I will say it is a shame that my audio did not record, because this was a very fantastic battle. Honestly, it was great. One of definitely the best battles so far that I have played. The last one didn't really feel like a full battle to me. This one definitely did. So at least I'm grateful for that. Let me know in the comments before the battle ends who you think is going to win, and let's get right into it. So, as I said before, I led with the Crocodile, and he decided to lead with his Druddigon, which I guess makes sense because Druddigon is a great stealth rock setter. So, look how big Crocodile's sprite is. Like, it looks, not Crocodile, Druddigon's sprite is. It just looks so menacing in this. It looks fantastic. So, obviously it's Mold Breaker, which makes me remember, oh, that's going to be a threat versus my Porygon2. So, instead of staying in and attacking... Oh, wait, no. I did stay in and attack. I considered switching into Porygon2. But I believe I just knocked off here to see what his set was while I anticipated him to set up his Stealth Rocks. So I knocked off here. Obviously, I'm going to take the not the rough skin damage because he is Mold Breaker, which is great. And I see that he is Lumberry. So he glares me, which normally would be a problem. But that is why I brought Altaria for the Heal Bell. So now I'm going to switch right into the Porygon2. While this turn, he probably sets up the Stealth Rocks, now that I'm no longer a threat to him. Well, or he thinks. I'm not a threat currently because of the... Paralyze. So I go into Porygon2, trace the Mold Breaker, which honestly makes no difference whatsoever, as he sets up rocks as expected. And then I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go for the Tri-Attack, because anything he brings in here will take a large chunk, and I'm not scared of this thing. So I click Tri-Attack here. Hopefully I can get some status on something. He decides to stay in. So it actually lives, which means that he is invested in something defensively, which makes sense, but his Earthquake does absolutely nothing to me, so honestly it's just going to be a free kill. I considered going for the Psychic here, predicting the switch into Girder or the Wheezing, but then I opted just to go straight for the Tri-Attack because I didn't want him to, if he stayed in, I didn't want to reveal that I had Psychic so early. So this is going so well, this is going very well so far. I was able to manage getting rid of Druddigon early, which is really the only threat to Altaria, and he's just going to bring in the Girder. So now I'm going to get out of here because I have the Psychic, but it is a 2-hit KO. He's definitely going to knock off here, and I want to keep my Eviolite. So I'm just going to go right into my Altaria here. And I believe I take this opportunity after getting knocked off to heal the status of my Crocodile because I don't want that thing to be paralyzed. Yeah, I don't care about the Girder too much, so I just go straight for the Heal Bell. I probably could have roosted here just to keep it healthy. I'm not necessarily planning on going into Crocodile immediately, so it is possible that I misplayed here. I don't remember what he does next. Let's find out. I don't imagine he stays in, though. He already knocked me off. Yeah, so he's going to withdraw, and he's going to switch into his Chanel. I believe that's Coco. Tapu Coco. Which is really scary, because it's one of the few things that actually does damage to this Altaria. But I'm just going to go straight for the Heal Bell. Yeah. So now my Crocodile is back to being a threat. It's no longer paralyzed. And now I just click Defog, hoping to get rid of those Stealth Rocks. Because I am very bulky, I expect to live this hit. But he goes straight for the Volt Switch. And then ends up taking me out, which makes me think that that is a Choice Specs Coco. Which is great, because that means Crocodile should be able to outspeed. It also gives me the advantage because he gets to bring in his Pokemon first, and I could react accordingly. So he decides, I believe, to bring in the Cinderace, his Versace. Yeah. Which allows me to go right into the Crocodile, because I am not scared of this thing. I have the Intimidate. Yeah, so I put him at -1. That means the high jump kick will no longer kill me. And I just go right for the knockoff, because he's probably going to bring in Weezing or Sigilith or something like that, because they're flyers. Yeah, he brings in Puh. And I just go for the knockoff, which is a good chunk of damage, and I get rid of the Rocky Helmet. Surprised that it was not Black Sludge, considering it does not get good recovery. And then I just go right into my... I go into Moltres? No, I go into Rotom. Okay. I don't expect him to status... I mean, if he does status, it's going to be Will-O-Wisp. And if anything's going to be Will-O-Wisp, I'd rather it be Rotom. I'd rather it not be Toxic. So, I believe that was my thought process. I just go right into the Rotom, take the Stealth Rocks damage, but that's okay. He tries to set up a layer of Toxic Spikes, which does not worry me that much. So, I'm just going to regain a little bit more HP with my leftovers, and then go right, almost Dynamaxed, right into the Substitute. Because I was expecting something to come out here, and he does bring out the Tapu Koko, which is fine, because now I get to sub and potentially Toxic it. I really liked this Rotom set. I thought the triple status was going to be very helpful regarding his team, because I didn't know what he would want to bring in on me at any point in time, and because he had multiple answers. But once I'm under a sub, I just get to do whatever I want to his Pokemon with status-wise. So he goes for the Dazzling Gleam, which is a good play, because even though he has the Electric Terrain up, if I switched into Crocodile, it would have been a problem. But he just goes straight for the Dazzling Gleam. Obviously, if he has Specs, he's going to do a huge chunk of damage to me. So I believe I just go into Ferrothorn here, now that it is Toxic, because I believe that it is Specs. And so I go into Ferrothorn here. I believe that I questioned whether or not it was Specs, but at the same time, it did so much damage, and Ferrothorn is a safe switch in on this thing. This is kind of my way to scout out if he actually is Specs, because if he goes for the Dazzling Gleam again and switches, I know he's Specs. So he goes for the Dazzling Gleam again, which was a huge chunk of damage for being not very effective. So I'm like, it's Specs, it's gotta be. And here, I believe I go for the Leech Seed, and I think this was a mistake. I think my play here was to go for the Spikes, because that residual damage, like I said in the Team Builder, was going to be very critical, and it might have changed the outcome of this game, actually, if you think about it. So, a little bit of spoilers there, but I go for the Leech Seed, and it was good, because it does land on this Weezing here, which does not want to take this damage passively. But I am scared that it has Fire Blast or Flamethrower, so I am going to switch out into the Moltres. No, Porygon2. No. I got to get rid of the Toxic Spikes first. I believe that was my thought process. And then I go into the Moltres, who cannot be touched by this thing, really. I mean, he could Toxic, but he double switches into his Tapu Koko, which was a great play, because of course I'm going to switch into the Moltres on the Weezing, because what does he do to me? So he predicted me really well right there. With the Electric Train up, I do not believe that I can live any type of electric attack. So I'm going to get the heck out of here. I'm going to go straight into my Ferrothorn. I was scared, again, to go into the Crocodile because he has been predicting me quite well. Is it worth the risk going for the Dazzling Gleam on the Moltres just in case? Not so sure, but he just goes straight for the Volt Switch, which was probably the ideal play. Makes me think I should have gone into the Crocodile, but at the same time, I can't risk losing my Crocodile to an over prediction like that. Because of just how crucial it is to my team. So, he brings back out the Cinderace, which is fine. Originally, actually, I had an Occaberry on this Ferrothorn, so that could have been nice to get some Leech Seeds off or something. Just something, because Ferrothorn, honestly, it's taken the hits from the Tapu Koko, but not that well, because the Specs makes it so much more damaging. So I go into the Rotom here as he U-turns out, which is a shame. He keeps pivoting on me, getting the advantage that way, and that is a huge chunk. Look at that chunk. Libero is just a nasty, nasty ability. I do apologize, I am very stuffy. I wasn't at the time of the battle, and I would have really loved to hear my reactions to what happens in a couple turns here, because it's a pivotal moment in this battle, and it was a really fun battle. So here, I think I just go. I don't want to switch anything in. Like, this Tapu Koko is a menace. So, to be honest, I don't remember what I do here. But I just go for the Discharge. I do remember, actually. So I stay in, I go for the Discharge, he Dazzling Gleams, I live with 1 HP. 1 HP. And because he has the hazards up, I'm going to need to clear those out if I decide to leave. So, let's see what I do. I don't remember. The toxic damage is whittling this thing down quite well, so I am happy about that. But I think here, I go back into the Ferrothorn because he Dazzling Gleamed. I know he's Specs. I'm going to take that hit, whittle him down some more with that toxic. Yeah, as he goes for the Dazzling Gleam. But unfortunately for me, that does more damage than I was hoping, and it does mean that it is a 2-hit KO. That being said, he also dies to Toxic next turn if he stays in. So I don't expect him to stay in. Let's see what he does. Let's see what I do, I mean. I know he's going to switch, so I decide that I am going to take the opportunity to... Oh, I stay in. Okay. Now, see, this is questionable. I think this is the play where I should have set up spikes, because if the Chanel comes in again, takes that spikes damage, I definitely get to deal with it more nicely than how I end up dealing with it. So, I keep clicking Leech Seed instead of setting up spikes, and that's something that I need to take note of for the future of these battles, that if I put spikes on someone, I just gotta go for it. So he goes into the Sigilif, which was a great play because the Leech Seed does not affect Magic Guard, which also means that I should have just gone for the spikes. And then here, I'm just gonna go right into the Crocodile because I don't really anticipate that Sigilith can do anything to me. Oh, I lied. I go into the Rotom, who dies on the switch in to the spikes, or the Stealth Rocks, and then I go into Crocodile. So I lose my Rotom here, which honestly was a misplay, but I do get to see what he does. I was afraid of him using an Ice Beam on me on the switch or something, but he just goes for the Cosmic Power, so I give him a free boost. So this is when it gets spooky. He gets +1 in his defenses, which means I can't really do much to him. I go straight into Crocodile. I said, okay, I need to knock this thing off. I need to get rid of this thing as soon as possible. And I know Crocodile does work. And it's not affected by stored power either. So I go into Crocodile. I get poisoned, which isn't a big deal because it's just regular poison, not toxic poison. And I go for the knockoff. And this is where things get funky. You can see it triggers his weakness policy instead of knocking it off. And this is when I'm like, oh no, this is a problem. And he just goes for the Ice Beam and kills my Crocodile. My most important Mon is down by a Sigilif. Wasn't expecting a weakness policy Sigilif. So, good play on his part. Here I'm like, oh no, I gotta go into Porygon2 because even if I get poisoned now, I trace his Magic Guard and I'm not affected by it. And so hopefully Porygon2 is bulky enough to deal with these cosmic powers. So I just straight up recover here. I want to scout the damage that he can do to me, I believe. Yeah, I don't know how much damage he's going to do, so I just go for the recover as he roosts, which is fine. So I know he's Cosmic Power, Roost, Ice Beam. And Ice Beam isn't going to do very much to me. So I'm like, okay. This is looking decent. This Porygon2 is going to have to come in clutch. Because if I don't get rid of the Sigilith, I just straight up lose. So I go for the Tri-Attack, hoping to do a decent chunk of damage. He just goes for another Cosmic Power, which is unfortunate. Now he's at +2 Special Defense. Meaning, even Stab's Tri-Attack is not going to do anything. And I don't have Ice Beam or Thunderbolt this week to hit him super effectively. So I just go for the Tri-Attack. And then I'm like praying here. I'm like, okay, I need the Freeze. I need the Paralyze. I need something to cripple this Sigilif. Anything but the Burn. I'm praying. Because otherwise, I just straight up lose. He's at +3 now. And I freeze him. So I'm like, okay. I need him to stay frozen for like 4 turns because he's at +3. I'm doing like 10%. It feels like 10% at least damage. Let's see how much damage this next Tri-Attack does. He stays frozen, which is great. He's probably spamming Roost. Okay, that's more like 15%. So he's at like 30% HP. I'm like, okay, 2 more turns. He stays frozen. I'm like, oh, Porygon2. This is why you're goated. Tri-Attack hits. Of course. 1 more Tri-Attack and he's gonna die. And does he stay frozen? He stays frozen. I got the 3-turn freeze off the 20% status chance from Tri-Attack into the only status that could bail me out of the situation. I just got extremely lucky. So for me, at this point in the game, I already lost. Indiana Tracers outplayed me great with that Sigilif. He beat my ass. Tri-Attack, RNG came in clutch here. Thank God for Porygon2. So I'm down to 3 mons. That Sigilif messed me up. So I decide I'm just gonna go for Psychic. I can no longer trace that Magic Guard. I've got to do something, and I don't want to switch into a Stone Edge, even though I outspeed and I can roost it off. Whatever. I'm just gonna go for the Psychic because he doesn't know I have it yet. It's my only option. So I just click Psychic. I know that he's going to knock off. And that does like 60%. I'm like, damn, that's pretty good. So he's going to knock off my Eviolite, which is unfortunate. And I'm just going to go for the second Psychic. I'm expecting him to Mach Punch here. It could probably kill me, but he doesn't actually go for Mach Punch. So I don't think he has it. He probably went for Drain Punch, but he does get knocked out here. So I take out his Girder. That's great. Porygon2 just being a boss. Like, oh God, it's such a great Pokemon. So great. He brings out his Cinderace, and here is the moment of truth. I'm like, okay, I'm going to protect, and he's going to try and high jump kick me because I'm a menace. So I protect here. Come on, come on. I don't remember the turn taking that long. He's trying to figure out what I'm going to do. He probably anticipates me to switch, and it turns out that Protect was not the play because he goes for the Zen Headbutt. which is unfortunate because I really wanted to hit that high jump kick. But now I think I made another mistake in that I switch out into Moltres here, which at the end of the day, it's possible that it's a good play because I am Flame Body. He's already Psychic type, so unless he clicks Pyro Ball here, he's gonna have a chance to get burnt. So I switch into Moltres, but the reason I think this is a mistake is because, one, I could have attempted to go for the double protect. That would have been fine. But two, I switch out and I lose that Magic Guard. I needed that Magic Guard because that poison damage is just going to do too much. If I had Tri-Attacked instead of protecting, I also had a chance to status it because it would have hit me with the Zen Headbutt first, and then I could have burned it or paralyzed it. And we already saw that my Tri-Attack RNG in this game has been godlike. So I should have trusted in the Porygon2. He's going to switch out, I assume, into the Tapu Koko. No, he brings in the Weezing, which is already at half, which means he's going to dodge the Scorching Sands, which is a good play. I probably should have gone for the Mystical Fire, just because even if he brings in the Koko, the Mystical Fire is still going to do a good chunk and lower his special attack to a point where I could probably live a Thunderbolt or a Volt Switch. So, yeah, so far this battle's not looking great, but I am trying my best to get out of the situation I have been forced into. While he stays in with the Weezing, I'm just going to go for the Mystical Fire. Does a good, like, 40%. Lower his special attack. And he goes for the Sludge Bomb, which is great for me because I just lowered his special attack. He does not get the poison. So that's great. Now I'm just going to go straight for the Mystical Fire again. Probably could have roosted. His special attack is low, so I'm not too worried about any of his attacks. And I'm going to take it out here with the Mystical Fire, killing the Weezing. Now he's down to his Cinderace and Tapu Koko. And his Tapu Koko is toxic and almost dead. So this is why I say, if I had set up that layer of spikes, this game would have been completely different. Because not only would he have potentially had to click Court Change on the Cinderace and on that Protect, but he also would take that damage on the couple of times that Tapu Koko has switched in when it was low. So here I'm just going to go into Fairthorn. It's going to die. We've already seen how much Dazzling Gleam does, but even a Thunderbolt, I believe, would be enough to take me out. I take the hazards. He goes for the Volt Switch, which honestly is great because that lets me switch into something on that Cinderace without question. And we'll see how this goes. The match is neck and neck right now. I'm also down to my last two. I'm down to Porygon2 and Moltres. He's down to Cinderace at full health and a Tapu Koko almost dead. So, unfortunately, both of my Pokemon are fairly low here. And so, Moltres comes in basically free, and I'm going to take this opportunity to Scorching Sands. And the mistake that I made here was expecting him to switch. I should have straight up gone for the Roost, because Roost is what's going to keep me alive in this match. I know that Porygon2 cannot survive a hit. So that was a mistake. Now I go for the Roost, but at this point it's a little late. But you'll also notice I did dodge that Zen Headbutt, and honestly I kind of don't want to have dodged that because I want his Cinderace to get burnt. I go back to almost full here. Honestly, I should have clicked Roost again, but I'm expecting that Koko to come in. I need to catch him off guard. So I'm going for the Scorching Sands. He hits this Zen Headbutt. Doesn't get burned. I get flinched, so that's unfortunate. So now I go back for the Roost. I'm like, I need to get back to full. And I'm worried because I need my Moltres healthy to deal with these Pokemon. And unfortunately, now that he flinched me, he goes into Tapu Koko on my Roost. And I'm like, dang it. Like, what am I supposed to do? If I had Scorching Sands there, Koko would be gone, and he can't kill me with the Cinderace. So, getting greedy there, needing the health, kind of bit me in the butt right there. So, I believe I go into my Porygon2 here. And I think he Volt Switches out, which is problematic because I do want him to take the toxic damage. And I set up his stupid electric terrain for himself. So this was definitely a mistake. Oversight by me. Now, if Moltres had any chance of surviving a Thunderbolt, it is definitely not going to survive now. But I live the hit. I live the Volt Switch as he goes into his Cinderace, because, I mean, that's the only thing left he has. And then I just died of the poison, I think. So, the Magic Guard would have been fantastic to keep. If I had Tri-Attacked, I had the potential to burn him. And then I could have protected the next turn when he realizes I'm staying in. But instead, I get a free switch into Moltres, which I am full health now. And that means I get to kill this Cinderace. I click the Mystical Fire here because it is stab. He then headbutts me. And I dodge it. End of the day, didn't matter. Mystical Fire. Get the crit. Honestly, also didn't matter. And he's going to... I think I just click Mystical Fire again. Because at this point, I just need either one of them. If I hit them, they die. He goes for the Zen Headbutt. He hits this time. Still no burn. So I hit the Cinderace with contact at least 5-6 times this match. No Flame Body, no Scorching Sands burn. But that's okay. He brings in his Tapu Koko here. What I probably should have done is stalled out the electric terrain with the Roosts. He brings in the Tapu Koko. I go for the Roost for some reason. But even then, at the end of the day, this match was over. He goes for the Thunderbolt. And he crits me. Now, I will say the crit did not matter. It's just ironic. The last turn in the game, he crits me. So I do lose this match. It was a 1-0, really close battle. I was bailed out by the Porygon2 with the Tri-Attack Freeze. And that was just honestly an insane match. So thanks for the battle. I had a really great time. I'm very upset that my recording did not get saved. But it was a great battle and regardless. And I hope you guys enjoyed my post commentary. And thanks for watching.